Hello again, everybody. We're going to continue our phase loop campaign with session 1 here. So, just to recap from last time, we made a couple of characters. And then just went over how to play. I have relatively simple rules for playing, and established the beginning of our campaign here with the location that we're starting at and a few details about it, as well as the relationship between these two. And the items that they've brought with them. So we ended last session with these guys on the other side of a gate, and we determined that this gate was at the bottom of a narrow ravine with 2 exits, one on each end. It's a ravine where a river had run through. And either this part of the ravine or the whole ravine itself is divided up into sections. And the area where we are is a relatively wide open area. And there's some sort of grim, horrific element in the decor in this area. So you have to figure out what that is still. Zip and Jareth. Zip Camwick and Jareth Rosevine are 2 characters. They're bounty hunters trying to retrieve a fugitive. The fugitive had been bribing agents of law enforcement. So we didn't decide yet any details about that bribery, or why they were bribing law enforcement. So we have to answer that question as well. And we also determined that Jareth helped Zip out of an abusive relationship, and he had previous experience gate crashing because he is sort of an explorer by profession who goes out and finds exotic foods and other delicacies. And but because he helped Zip out of that abusive relationship and his previous experience, Zip decided to bring him along on this bounty hunting job. She's a professional. Zip is a professional bounty hunter. So that was our backstory so far. I also wrote up this list of additional questions to answer. How do they get out of the ravine? How do they find their quarry? And what about the environment is grim or horrific? How did these 2 get to the gate and acquire their gear? I think we will answer that through some sort of flashback. We don't need to answer it right away. Unless it becomes important right away, which it might. Then, whose idea was it to team up? I'm kind of thinking at the moment that it was Zip's idea, but we'll see. We may decide to flesh that out a little bit. But we are definitely going to flesh out each character's backstory and both their relationship with each other and with this abusive partner, and probably some other relationships that they've had. depending on how long they spend on the other side of this gate. But you know, with this setting, even if they die, that's not the end of the story because they have insurance against dying, basically. They'll be either reconstituted back on the home side of the gate, or if they have the more expensive insurance, they may have somebody come and retrieve their cortical stack, which is where basically their memories and personality are stored. Or both. With the more expensive insurance, you get both. So we're going to start here with session 1. I'm going to flip this over. You can check out the rules I use. Here's my shameless plug again here, but you can check out the rules I use on itch.io. I will show you that website here. There it is, Pocket RPG. And it's pay what you want, so you can download them for free. It includes the rules and the tables that I'm using for my game. They're really, really simple rules, and you know, I designed them for my own use so that I can modify them quickly and easily. So I hope you also find them easy to use. So, all right. So for our first question here, let us answer, what about this environment is grim or horrific? So, this doesn't require any investigation, but we do have this hazards table, so it might be a hazard, it might be a clue of some kind. Let me see here. Let me show you the tables. I have it on the other screen here. Might be a hazard or a clue. We can also use these general tables to come up with if you know, the hazards and clues aren't appropriate or don't come up with anything good. It'll probably be fine though. I was also looking at this location type table, thinking maybe the thing that's grim or horrific about this space is that it's being used for something else besides just a gate, just as a gate area, reception area. So let's see here. Do I want to use, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 possible tables. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw, let's see, these both take 3 cards, and these both take 2 cards, or 1 card each. So what I'm going to do is draw 3 cards. I'm going to look at the results on each of the 4 tables. I'm either going to choose or pick one of them or combine them. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what we get. That's Queen of Clubs, Ace of Clubs, and Ace of Hearts. Oh, wait, okay. So for hazards there, that gives us Stationary Sentry. It gives us Stationary Sentry, which is, for some reason, just not strange. No strangeness for the ace. And the complication is that it's moving or spreading, even though it's stationary. So it's stationary, but it's spreading in some way. So if the grim horrific element is a hazard, that's what it would be. If it's a clue, we've got debris or wreckage that has been trampled or broken. And do we recognize it? Not at all. Okay. So that is the clue table. And then for the other two tables, it's a one card draw. So we're just going to look at the first card that we drew, which was a Queen of Clubs. So this location type table, Queen of Clubs, is extraplanar space. So something extremely odd, really, really weird is happening. I mean, the gate is here, obviously, but I'm going to assume that it's something besides the gate. And then for just a general draw, Queen of Clubs would be either a strong character or a large windfall. With something grim or horrific. A windfall is some unexpected, positive, spontaneously good thing that occurs. But something grim or horrific is probably not good, so we're going to call it a character. So it's strong character, something to do with fire, fire, labor, or sacrifice. All right, so of those four options, we can, I'm thinking of how to combine them somehow. I like the stationary sentry. And the extraplanar space. I mean, we can combine all of this stuff. Okay. Yeah, just pondering here. So right as we go through the gate, we've got kind of a major obstacle. So this is, there is some sort of sentry being that is, and around them is spreading this area of, so it's a strange effect. And these are our main characters don't know yet what exactly is going on, but the area around the sentry is an extraplanar space. And it is spreading as they stand there and look on. And it's some sort of worker. And I'm going to take this debris wreckage, this trampled wreckage, as basically what its job was. was to like some sort of demolition. And it is demolishing the area around the gate, possibly. All right. So, Peril, what will we do here? First of all, for this sentry, I'm going to see if it has any abilities. I pull a card, divide by 4, rounding down. So it has one ability. And that is 8 of Spades, which is Acid Fire. So it has some sort of burning substance that it can defend itself with. What is its weakness here? 8 of Clubs, which is mind control again. It's weak against mind control. We do not have mind control. We've got the Saurian Mount, Champ, and Jareth has the all-terrain vehicle. They could just run away. However, if this thing is going to demolish the area around the gate, we really, really want to be able to go back through the gate and get home. So they've got to figure out how to deal with this thing. So, Zip here is not good at diplomacy. Jareth is a little bit better. Always worth a shot. Diplomacy is always worth a try, right? So, Jareth Rosevine, our cultured, wealthy gentleman here, he's going to sort of step forward slightly and call out to the sentry creature. Something along the lines of a question, like, excuse me, can we ask you to not destroy the gate until we get back? And just to determine the form of the sentry, because I'm not sure, like, does it look like an animal, a person, or something else? I'm going to look into, open up my book of symbols here. I've got not a helpful page. There we go. So we draw lamp or candle. Just as a supplement here. And tears. Oh boy. It's a weeping candle. Whoops. A weeping candle. Of some kind. Is there... So before Jareth would even ask a question, it doesn't really look like a person. It looks like just lighting. It's like a floor lamp with extra effects. So they would have to, instead of asking for it to stop, they would try to find a button, I think some sort of button or switch to turn it off. All right. So see, perception. Jareth is very good at perception. Zip is like an 8, has a D8. Jareth has a D4. So the target number for this first room, I have to decide if this is going to be, if we're going to start at 10 or lower. And 10 is the easiest. We can start at a lower number to, make this harder, but also it will make the campaign shorter. Whatever I decide, with a D4, I can't roll a 10, or higher than a 10. So normally it would mean I couldn't fail, but if with any die, if you roll the maximum number on the die, that's a failure. So there's always that possibility of failure. So both of them would just have to roll and not, I'm going to roll for both of them. Roll and not crit fail, basically. I'll look for a button. All right, so Jareth got a 2, and Zip got a 1. That's a critical success. You want to roll low in the system, so Zip found a button. Or a switch or something. Turn this thing off. Okay, so I'm going to pull a card, and if this card is red, it means that they can get to the switch without going through the area, the extraplanar space area. If it's black, it means they have to go through to get to the switch. Lucky. All right. So they get to the switch and turn it off. Or no, they get to the switch. It might be some sort of puzzle to figuring it out. All right, so I'm going to give them each a knowledge roll to try and figure out how to turn off the switch. Jareth has a D6 in knowledge, and Zip has a D10. And again, they just have to roll 10 or below to succeed, unless they roll the maximum value on the die, and then that's a failure. All right, so neither of those are failures. So it's not a difficult switch to figure out. They successfully turn off the sentry. Does the extraplanar area just stop, or does it sort of shrink back in on itself? The red, I'm going to say, is it shrinks back in on itself. It is red, okay. So the extraplanar space goes back in. And they have saved the gate from being consumed with relative ease. This is the first room, so it's going to be the easiest room. So, gonna have a look around this area with another perception check, a D4 and a D8. And this time they're looking for anything hidden. They're looking for hidden things from the room area table, the hidden column. They're also whether they realize it or not, while they search, they may run into enemies. So first I'm going to see if, what I'm going to do here is if they crit succeed, they've found a hidden door, something good that's hidden. If they crit fail, they've found enemies. And I'll use the table to check for the name, you know, what kind of enemies they find. And ditto for the hidden thing. Oh no. We've got a crit failure. This is bad, this D8. So that's the maximum value on the D8, which means they found enemies while searching around this area. What kind of enemies? Got 5 of diamonds. Card times 4, or card divided by 4, elite enemies. So card divided by 4, round down generally. That's 1. 1 elite. So let's see here what this enemy is like. What I call them enemies, but we will draw on the attitude mood table to see what their actually reaction is to being found. 7 of diamonds. Oh, so they're calm and honest. They're a relatively calm enemy. Okay, so is this a person? Red, it's a person. Black, it isn't. That's black, not a person. Alright, so creature it is. It's a calm creature. Let's see. So I'm going to use... our book. This is our animal book. Copyright-free animal illustrations. I'm going to flip open to at least 2 pages. And then we'll also give it some abilities here. And that will help us determine what kind of creature we've got. Alright, so this is chameleons, iguanas, and horny toads. I think that's a skink. So some sort of small to medium lizard. Maybe it's not small, it's an elite of some kind, so it might be big. And birds. So many birds. These are like parrots. I think that's a quetzal or a hoatzin. Alright, so got sort of an ornately decorated bird lizard thing. So let's see how many abilities it has. And it is 2 abilities. 6 of diamonds, 10 of hearts. It's incorporeal, or it can be incorporeal. 10 of hearts. Has a grapple or hold ability. Oh boy. Alright. What's its weakness or deficiency? 7 of clubs. Mind control. Again. Everything's weak to mind control. Alright. For this form of this creature, I'm gonna open one more time here. Cows and bulls. That's weird. So, with that information, parrots, iguanas, or chameleons, and bulls, I'm kind of leaning towards the idea that it's a huge lizard. With sort of horny protrusions, and it's brightly colored. And then it looks like it's able to charge like a bull. Although we know, sort of on the GM side of things, we know that its abilities are a little bit different than just charging. But these guys don't know that yet. It seems calm at the moment. So what I'm going to give them a chance to do is sneak away. They both got a D12 and stealth. So they're not the sneakiest people. Let's see here. I'm going to grab my other D12. We got 2D12. So they both pass the target number of 10. They rolled lower. We got a 9 and a 5 as the results of that. So they're able to sneak or sort of creep away without upsetting the creature. I'm wondering now, which direction they went in. Here, let us, since I have these map tiles, and I have my wet erase markers, I might as well start keeping some sort of record of where we've been, where we're going. For now, this thing, I don't have I don't have tiles like this with hexes on them, so we're just going to use these squares for both the overland map and any combat maps we come across. This is a canyon. Oh. Does this ravine have water running through it? Red is yes. No water. Okay, so it's a dry ravine. It's going to be kind of brown or orange with the darker color. Okay. Make a little clearing here, a wide space in the ravine with the gate in it. I don't know how well that comes out on camera, but and then I'm gonna draw the little gate in there. The gate is a dome. I'm gonna draw a dome shape. With like a lattice around it. Yeah, it's tiny, so it's hard to get it exactly. That's good enough. All right. I've gotten out of order. Oh well. Right. And so we want to figure out. That doesn't help at all. We also got white. This little piece of white felt as well. Let me see if this helps the map show up on camera. Slightly better. Alright, so we have to figure out which direction these guys are going. We got this pointing southwest, northeast. Southwest is better for me just because we got more space on this tile in that direction. So red is southwest. Black. Alright, so they are going northeast. From the gate. And so they pass through into another section of the ravine, and I'm going to see, I'm going to roll on the wilderness, or I'm going to draw on the wilderness biome table to see if this ravine ends here in something else, even though our chances are pretty good of it changing. Let's see what we get. Mountain natural terraces. All right. So this is basically going towards the source of the river. In this square, I'm kind of squiggle this off into the corner. This is abstract, you understand? We've got mountains and natural terraces. And under normal circumstances, there might be a river here. But right now it's dry. There's no water. If this place even has water. All right. We've got our little mountains and natural terraces. So what is, look at location type, or no, because there might not be anything here. What I actually wanted to answer first is like, this may sound odd, but what color is the ground? Because it could be, you know, black sand, it could be white sand, red. If it could be some much stranger color. So I think I've got all these markers here. No, because it's gonna weight it towards being a weird color. Is this okay? So we're gonna ask: is this what we, you know, by Earth standards would consider a normal color of dirt? Yes. Okay. So within that range, sort of black to white, with browns in between. Let's see. No, those aren't going to help. So I think I will say the higher the number of the card that we draw, the darker the sand, the darker the ground, the color of the ground. Oh, 7 out of 12. That's pretty dark, sort of a dark brown. All right. And do we have foliage? It's a dry ravine, so, but you never know. Let's see, do we have foliage here? Yes. Does it look, you know, drought tolerant, like arid foliage? No. Okay. So we have more luscious foliage. No. There's foliage, but it is neither luscious nor sort of that scraggly drought tolerant foliage. What does that leave us? Something like lichen? Or maybe trees? Trees is red. No, not trees, so it's more like lichen. All right. So we have dark brown soil or sand covered with a lichen as the environment here. All right, so I'm going to use the room area table and see what this next area is like. Our next stop along the ravine. And they can see ahead of them that it opens up into this wider area with natural terraces and, you know, into highlands of some kind. So first of all, we've got diamonds, so it's a large area with natural decor, makes sense. Number of doors, hearts, so 2. Contents, rows. So these natural terraces form rows, almost like a stadium seating. As it goes up into the mountains. All right. And as they enter this place, really the first priority after they got out of immediate danger would be to set up camp. They're going to have a look around here to see if it's safe enough to set up camp. We're going to roll our perception dice again. Let's see. So, a D4 and a D8. And the room, our target number is still 10. It'll only go down after we've had a boss level encounter. And that happens when we find enemies. This bottom, the very bottom option for enemies is boss. So if we run into, once we run into a boss level encounter, the difficulty for things in that room will go down 1. But for now it's still 10. So let's see, we're going to have a look around. They did not fail. They both got under 10. So, but we didn't get a critical failure or a critical success. So they found nothing hidden. No enemies and nothing in the hidden good things column. So this is a relatively safe area, at least uneventful. All right, so they're going to go ahead and start setting up their camp. Zip has her Saurian mount. One thing I didn't really answer is whether this mount can fit both of them on its back or whether it can only carry her. So if it's going to pull a card, if it's red, it can fit both of them. Good, yes. So this thing is big enough for both of them. And the gate crashing kit does have a basic tent in it. So Zip goes ahead and sets up that tent. Jareth brought his own tent, which is a little bit nicer, so he's going to use that one. And he's going to take out his hunting tools. And he isn't really a combat guy, right? So his combat is his worst skill. So I'm going to say that this hunting trapping tool, instead of being like a bow and arrow, it's more of a set of snares, or a snare kit. So he's going to go and set up some snares for something small. Hopefully it will be edible. They've already seen an animal here. My pen is feeling a little strange. It's got some sort of residue on it. Right, so we've got a small animal snare. Just like a loop, a leg loop. Nothing serious like a bear trap with claws that would injure the animal. Just a loop that holds them in place. All right, so he's going to go off and set that up. And we're going to see how well he sets it in this environment. So the critical factor really here is his knowledge of how best to set up snares. So I'm going to roll his knowledge die, which is a d6. He did not fail, so he comes in under the DC 10. So he is able to do that. And what is Zip doing? She has 4 rations. That's probably, she's brought extra, more than Jareth did, so that she can feed this mount. Although, now that I think about it, that lichen that's around the area, she's going to gather up some of that. And she brought, I was thinking, the gate crashing kit might have some sort of testing kit in it to see if something is, what the composition of something is, to see whether it's edible. But she may actually, I'm gonna draw a card for that. If red is yes, no. The gate crashing kit does not come with testing gear. And that must be extra. They didn't get the premium gate crashing kit. It is the bare minimum essential. So that makes sense. But Jareth here, his specialty, he's got a lot of experience looking for flora and fauna, edible flora and fauna. So she's going to pass this lichen over to Jareth and ask him whether it seems like her Saurian mount is safe to eat it. First of all, let's roll for Jareth's perception. He did not critically fail. So he is able to determine whether this is edible. We're going to say yes, it is edible, or red. Red is yes. No, it is not. The lichen is not edible. Probably not for the Saurian mount either. So she's going to have to use her rations to feed it, which is, you figured. Hopefully they aren't going to be there very long. Alright, so they've got just basic tents, a mount, and an all-terrain vehicle, and a light source. That's their whole camp, really. They didn't bring any cooking gear. All right. I'm gonna put their camp on this space on the map. I'm just gonna make a couple of tents. And a light source. Alrighty. So that is where their camp is. And now they've got to figure out how to track down this guy. Coming up on an hour, so as a wrap up here, we are going to flesh out some details about our fugitive. First of all, because they've got a file on this guy, or person, it might be a woman, shouldn't assume. Right. First of all, let us see here. So, what is this guy's personality according to their file? Practical, rugged. So, this is the person that was bribing the law enforcement agent. Practical rugged means that that's probably why he is trying to escape through the gate, because he feels like he'll have a better chance in an alien wilderness than he will back in home territory and civilization. So, why was he bribing law enforcement? I'm going to pull a task for him and see if that helps. Help a monster. Let's negotiate help a monster or animal. I'm going to say he was helping a monster. Okay, so the thing that immediately comes to mind for that is he's trying to cover for like a serial murderer or maybe a professional assassin. He's trying to bribe a law enforcement agent to let this guy go. Did they arrest the monster? Yes. Red is yes. Yes, okay. So this notorious killer or serial murderer is arrested. And there could be a number of things that happen to you after you're arrested in this setting. It isn't just jail, it could be indentured service, where you have your memories and personality edited to be more docile. They'll edit your memories so you forget how long you've been under contract and everything, so it's terrible. But for a murderer, that you never know what they're going to do. But he's been arrested. So, but this guy is still on the run. He's a rugged survivalist. Alright, so that gives us about an hour. That's the hour mark right there. So we've found out quite a lot. Well, a little bit more about this planet, or, at least the immediate area surrounding the gate, and the person that we're hunting. Let me, oh, kind of important. Let us give the fugitive a name. All right. An Ambro, Mater, Robeck, and G-Tech. Down here, Mayor and Pansy. All right, so our fugitive's name, I think, is going to be I like the name Robeck, but I don't like any of the others. All right. Down here, okay. I like Bodie Robeck. Bodie Robeck is the fugitive. And we know that he's kind of a practical, rugged guy. And he was bribing law enforcement to cover for a serial murderer. All right. So next time we will have to figure out why. And we have just discovered that it might be harder to find and capture this guy than we first assumed. All right, so that is it for now. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.